Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Spencer TCG here. Today we are talking about all of the blue cards in the new set Twilight of the Republic. And yeah, don't forget this video is for draft and pre-release. The pre-release is coming up next week. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. If you haven't seen my videos before, this is a quick run through of the rating scale. Haven't really seen many S's yet if you guys have seen my other videos, but an S is a, powerhouse. It makes you want to switch to that color. And cards that are F are just a little bit, a lot of bit bad. You don't want them in your deck. You really want to be cutting your D cards, or maybe like the D cards are just a little niche, like they're hard to make work. Your deck is mostly going to be consisted of C cards and hopefully, as many Bs and up as possible. But let's get into the cards because that's why we're here. First up, we have Nala saying that right, hopefully. This leader is, So the ability is to ignore the aspect penalty on clone units you play. So, pretty cool in deck construction. But this is for pre-release, right? So yeah, it's not like we get to put in the coolest clone units ever. We're just maybe get access to a couple extra, but her stats are real bad. On flip is a 1/7. Still has the same text of ignoring the aspect penalty, but also the clone units gain when defeated, heal 2 damage from your base. That's not good enough. I mean, it's like you can say super defensive, has a lot of defense on 4. But only one attack. This leader is going to be putting out like 0 pressure in a format where the leaders have a lot of attack. There's a lot of leaders that are swinging pretty big in this set. So I would avoid this leader. Luckily, it's a rare, so you're not going to see it that often. But I'm actually going to give this leader a straight up F. Its stats are just so bad, and I think its effect is pretty much non-existent, even in a draft environment. Even if you have a bunch of clone units in all the different colors, like this doesn't make up for the fact of her terrible, terrible stats. Next up, we got Nuke Gunray. He deploys on 6, is a 2/8. On his leader side, when he attacks, he makes a 1/1 battle droid token and has a free action on his non-leader side. If 2 or more friendly units were defeated this phase, create a battle droid token. So I think this leader is a little bit hard to get going, but once you create your first token, I think it's a lot easier to make future tokens, if that makes sense, because let's just say it's on your turn. You traded your 2 units with whatever on their field, and then you make a token. On your next turn, either you have the unit from the turn before, or you have your unit this turn, and maybe they trade into it, and then you trade your token, and now you're making another token, right? Like, you always have that one body carrying over, but to get this going might be a little tough. Obviously, there's a lot of token generation, so maybe it's not that tough. I do think this leader is a lot better than, the last one we just saw. Sadly, the stats on him are pretty low. I mean, if you include the 1/1, then he's like a 3/9. But we had a 3/9 card in set 1, and he did not really perform. Thrawn, my man, I wish he performed. But obviously, this leader makes value, right? He's going to get you incremental value throughout the game, which I do really like. This one's a hard one to evaluate. I'm going to give him just a solid C. I mean, the other one is so trash that, like, if you have to be blue bad guys and, I don't know, for some reason, you didn't get another bad guy leader, then yeah, Nuke Gunray is definitely playable. I just don't think he reaches that B range because his leader is just a little weak. Like, the leaders in this set, guys, hurt and are powerful. Especially if you looked at the red leaders, like, Maul and Anakin, like, they're just going to wipe the floor with Nuke Gunray, which is kind of a problem. But I do like that this leader gives value throughout the game. So it's, I could be wrong about the C. Maybe it pushes into the B range, but I'm not really impressed by these blue bad guy leaders. All right, and we have our base. Each leader unit you control gets +0, +1. Well, this couldn't be worse if you were to pair it with these two. Like, getting 1 more health is not where we're at. But getting 1 more health on almost any leader in this set is probably not worth it. I don't know, unless you have some meta that you think is happening in your draft environment where this 1 HP actually does matter. I do think blue is usually one of the better splash colors, just in general. Like, maybe not the best leaders, but have really good splash colors. I think that usually holds true just because blue has a lot of access to removal. But yeah, I would probably never play this base. I'm going to give it an F. I just don't think it does enough. Yeah, sorry. All right, next up we have Rune Hako. He is a 2-costed 3/2 Separatist official ground unit. When played, if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, you may give a unit -1/-1 for this phase. This is a great example of a solid card. You need 2-drops in your deck. You want your 2-drops to be 3/2s or 2/3s. I think I like 3/2s though, because sometimes they can trade up. So yeah, so he's at least a C there. And then he has another effect, like if you lost your 1/1, maybe your opponent value traded you, you're going to get that little extra bit of damage or, reduction to destroy that unit. So I'm actually going to put this guy up to a B. He should just always be in your deck for that versatility as well as the nice turn 1 play. Next up, we have Wartime Trade Official. It is a 2-costed 1/3 Separatist official ground unit. When defeated, create a battle droid token. I'm not in love with this unit's stats. I much rather just have like I think a vanilla 2/3. Well, I don't know. I mean, so this card is pretty cool if you're playing exploit themed. I mean, the bad guys are pretty exploit themed. So I think if you have enough exploit themes, like this is going to be a solid playable in your deck. And I think if you're really lacking on them, then you don't really want to trade a 1/3 into something just to get the 1/1 and then try to trade the 1/1 into it. Like that's just a really slow and inefficient way of beating something. Like I said, you'd rather just have the 2/3 at that point, or better yet, a 3/2. So I'm going to rate him just a C because I think this card feels decent in exploit decks because at least you're getting a 1/1 back from it. Another thing to think about for this leader is that you can easily kill 2 of your guys with exploit, and then you can bring back a 1/1 for future exploits, which is maybe another benefit to him to push him closer to that B range we were talking about. But yeah, let's give this card a solid C. I don't think we're going to be too excited to have him in our deck because of its terrible stats, but I think that it might offer enough, help with exploit that it's good enough, because even if you think about like playing this into a 3/2, if our opponent does trade in this, which they probably shouldn't, like you can trade right back the next turn, or you can still use that 1/1 as an exploit target. And then if we do that, then we could definitely use New Gunray's effect and get the 1/1. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna give him the playable C. Next up, we have a 3-costed 3/4. Love those stats. Ground unit, Calculating Magna Guard. When played / when a friendly unit is defeated, this unit gains Sentinel. Nice. This card should probably always be in our deck. It has a C stat line, like it's playable, right? We want the 3-mana 3/4s, and it also has the additional use of being Sentinel when you want it to be, because you can, play it from your hand and gain Sentinel, or when something else dies, now it has Sentinel again. I actually really like that. I'm going to push this card up to a B. Having some sort of Sentinel somewhere in your deck, I think, is important. Next up, we have my man General Grievous. Is a 3-costed 4/4 Separatist official. Ignore the aspect penalty on each lightsaber upgrade you play on this unit, which is kind of cool, flavorful, right? And on attack, if this unit has 4 or more lightsaber upgrades attached to him, win the game. No, defeat 4 enemy units, practically winning the game. I mean, doesn't even say non-leader units, guys. If you can somehow attach 4 lightsaber to this man and he doesn't die, right? You do win the game. But, I'm really glad they gave this guy like a really unique ability. Obviously, it's hard to make work, but they gave him crazy stats. A 3-costed 4/4. Bam, like we are already in the B range. This card should always be in your deck. It is trading with every other 3/4 in the game and making your opponent very sad. And like it's kind of cool that like you can just throw whatever lightsaber on him. I don't really think that's going to come up in limited play, but the stats are good enough. Like stats just alone make him a B. Obviously, there's 3/5s that can exist that, are similar, but a 3 out of 4/4 guys is very good. Very good. Next up, we have Morgan Elspeth. Is a 4-costed 3/6 Force Imperial official. Has Restore 1, which is whatever. And on attack, you may defeat another friendly unit if you do draw a card. Now, in the format with a bunch of 1/1s lying around and, you don't have exploit that turn, I think I much rather exploit. But, drawing a card isn't the worst thing ever. I think her stats are fine. About what I expect from a 4-drop. They should add up to 9. 3 + 6 is 9. So she's hitting all those marks. She has a little bit of value in Restore, which I don't think will come up too much. but the optional draw card I think does feel nice. You know, I think she's just a playable. I'm not sure that I would always play this unit if I had a bunch of other 4-drops that felt more impactful. I'm gonna keep her in that C range. Yeah, like I said, like her effective drawing cards is cool, but I think I'd rather exploit if I had those units to begin with. Next up, we have Devastating Gunship. It is a 5-costed 3/5 space unit with grit. When played, defeat an enemy unit with 2 or less remaining HP. Nice. Like I always say, guys, removal is premium. While this only defeats, you know, things that are pretty hurt or small units, it still defeats something, and I think you can, you know, it also doesn't say non-leader, another great tech. So, you know, if your opponent is able to value trade leaders off of you because there's one is a little bit better statted, maybe the Devastating Gunship can, you know, put the nail in the coffin, end the leader. And also we have a 5-health spaceship, so we're doing okay against the 3/4 spaceships that are running around, because at least if they try to swing into us, we can just swing 6 to base, which is a nice little hit. I like this card. I think I would always put it in my deck. I'm going to give it a B because it always defeats a unit. I think if its stats were just a little better, it could actually be pushing that A range. Next up, we got the Droideka Security. It is a 6-costed 4/5 not shielded unit that has Exploit 2 and Sentinel. This unit is fine. I mean, I see you killing a 1/1 and getting a 4/5 Sentinel. Sure. I mean, if you're able to get 2 1/1s early, like casting this for 2 is going to feel really solid. I'm not really... I'm like, I don't want to cast this card for 6, but like, it's not the worst thing because it can protect your leader, I guess. This is on probably the lower range of C. I mean, the more 1/1s that you're able to generate in your game, you know, maybe if your leader, if we go all the way back, is Nuke Gunray, then, you know, I'm feeling a little bit better about this card. But yeah, I'm just going to keep him in the C range. Obviously does better in a Nuke Gunray deck. Next up, we have Providence Destroyer. It is an 8-costed 5/7 Separatist Vehicle Capital Ship Space Unit with Exploit 2, and on attack, give an enemy space unit -2/-2 for this phase. That is a sad effect, guys. I mean, casting this card for 4 is really what we ought to be thinking about. Like, can I kill 2 1/1s to have 5 damage in space? And also, like, deny my opponent from ever being able to really trade with this thing because I could just attack first and make it small. I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really excited at all. Like, I think it would be, like, D-ish, F-ish to cast this card at 8. To kill a 1/1 and cast it at 6, I think is totally reasonable. So, again, you know, I think in a new Gunray deck, this card is probably a B because you're going to have the 1/1s lying around. And, you know, after, you know, the more we say his name, the higher rating he should get. I really do think so. Maybe he is approaching new Gunray. We're going to give him a B. You know, there are enough exploit mechanics that getting the extra 1/1, you know, even once or twice a game is really going to help your curve, especially with these exploit units. So we're going to move him up to a B. And in a new Gunray deck, I think this is probably going to be B. I think in a deck that doesn't really make 1/1s, probably on the lower C range to D. It's just a little expensive, but I can see this card feeling really good in the right deck. Which again, you know, usually gets the D niche rating. So next up we have Malevolence. Is a 9-costed 7/7 spaceship with Exploit 4 and Restore 2. When played, give an enemy unit -4/-0 for this phase. It can't attack for this phase. This space unit is super cool. I mean, I'm not... There is not a lot of removal in the set outside of blue, really, in general. And even in blue, I mean, we have Vanquish, but we're not cooking with that much... Not much else, especially things that kill 7/7s. If I'm casting this card for 9, I honestly don't think it's like the end of the world. I don't think it's, you know, the thing I want to do, but I actually really like super big spaceships. Obviously, we just talked about this card, but I think 7 swings a lot more than 5. This card also has Restore 2 on the back end, which, you know, is a 9-point life swing every turn as opposed to 5. And also, you know, we can randomly cast this card for a lot cheaper. And it has an on-play effect that can, you know, turn off one of my opponent's attacks, or maybe let me, you know, I could do it on their leader, and then maybe I can kill their leader without losing a bunch of units because I just made it small. I'm going to give this card a solid B. I don't think it's necessarily a bomb. Like, I don't think it's an A, but I do think, you know, big spaceships are nice. Now, in a deck that makes a bunch of 1/1s, this card is an A. It's going to feel like the best card in your deck. It's going to feel like a bomb. So, you know, these exploit cards definitely maybe deserve 2 ratings. You know, I think if you're casting this card for 7 or 9, it's like, you know, fine-ish. You C to B. But I think if you're, you know, if you're getting this card out for 5 and you're killing 2 1/1s, that's an A to an S. So, like, it really depends on your deck type. Sorry, guys. I know I'm the rating guy. So you're like, just give me a rating. But, you know, these exploit cards are hard to evaluate. And I will say, like, if you're drafting especially, you know, and you're getting New Gunray as your leader and you're making a bunch of 1/1s, like, this is going to be the bomb in your deck and it's going to carry you. Next up, we have a Fine Addition, a 0-costed event. If an enemy unit was defeated this phase, play an upgrade from your hand or from any player's discard, ignoring its aspect penalty. Huh. This card's weird. Like, I don't like upgrades. Your opponents always will for some reason because everyone likes putting lightsabers and stuff on their units. So expect your opponents to be playing upgrades. Expect me to never be playing upgrades. I don't like this card. It feels like super incredibly niche, and I don't know, like, do I even want to steal their lightsaber? Just don't play this card. It's an F. If you're like an upgrade lover, then, you know, sure, throw it in. Next up, we have Lethal Crackdown. It's a 4-costed event. Defeat a non-leader unit. Deal damage to your base equal to that unit's power. So here is the other bit of removal that we have in the set, though it's a little bit scary removal because, you know, if we're doing it to a Malevolence, not only did our unit not get to attack, but we just took 7 damage, which is ouch. I mean, I guess we saved the damage from it not hitting our face, but... this is a reason, I think, to be in blue because it has removal. It's just a little scary because, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say this card is good against a deck that's being really aggressive towards you. I would say that, you know, it works a lot better when you're trying to be aggressive towards them because you're going to have less damage on your base in general. But this is a card I definitely probably would consider playing out of Aspect. Maybe even double out of Aspect. I don't know. Probably not double out of Aspect, but yeah, I would consider playing this card out of Aspect. It's premium removal. It just says kill anything besides a leader. I'm going to give this card like a B+ to... Yeah, B+. Like, I don't think it hits that A range because we are taking damage back. But 4 resources to kill big unit feels really good. Just, you got to be careful because you do take, you know, the damage. It feels pretty good when you have the initiative because that unit probably was going to hit you anyway, and now it's just gone, so... And now we're on to the good guys. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's go with the Patient Mentor Leader. He has a free action to heal 1 damage from a unit, which is, yeah, pretty lackluster, especially in a format filled with small little tokens. Do we really need to be healing our tokens up? And then on his flip side, I do like him. He's a 4/7 Sentinel, a little bit bigger than his unit. On attack, heal 1 damage from a unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to a different unit. So, you know, heal a guy a little bit. I mean, he can heal himself, which is kind of nice. He can pick off your opponent's 1/1s that they got lying around, which is starting to seem pretty important. I mean, initially when I was making these videos, I'm like, you know, who really has time to attack 1/1s? Well, you guys better make time because these exploit cards are going to be kind of scary if we let these 1/1s stick around. Exploit is a scary mechanic. I mean, this leader, you compare him to Yoda, and they're just so different in what they do. I mean, they're both defensive, I guess, because he has Sentinel, Yoda has Restore. But, like, I don't think he's offering you much value outside of the cards that are built around him for this set. Like, if you compare him to Rey, I felt like Rey offered so much. Rey was so good, obviously, but Rey offered so much, and I don't think you're going to get that much value from healing damage from units. The best thing I think about Obi-Wan is that he has Sentinel with 7 health, so I think he, you know, against Maul, the 6/6, like, he kind of counters them a little bit in that sense, where, like, your leader can help save you, and I think that's going to give him enough to be a playable leader. I think he's actually even pushing a B because of, like, how good Sentinel is on a leader, especially at 6. Like, Chewie, I actually thought was, like, decent. The problem was, like, again, he kind of had this non-effect, but he came out at 7. You know, 6 is much earlier, and having this on-demand Sentinel is pretty cool. So we're going to put him in, like, this B- range, even though his healing effect is pretty bad. His leader side can make up for that, I think. especially since he can heal himself. That is a really nice bonus. Next up, we have Yoda. He is the Filter Master. He has a free action. If a unit left play this phase, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Filtering in any game is really nice in any format, especially in Limited when, we only have probably a few good cards and a lot of them are just like not the greatest. Having the ability to find our card is a lot better. Also, if you look at it, it says if a unit, like any unit, their unit, our unit, don't matter. It says if any unit. That feels pretty good. On his flip side, he sadly comes out at 7, which is a little slow, a little scary for this format, but he's a 4/9 with Restore 2. So he makes up for it in his great stats, as well as having a 6-point life swing every time he attacks, which is pretty good for a leader. And then he has the when deployed, you may discard a card from your deck. If you do, defeat an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same as or less than the discarded card. Now, I do think that his effect is going to be a little bit hard to use on deploy reliably unless you've used his other side, right? He synergizes with himself. So you really want to set up the situation where you're able to remove a unit and flip Yoda on the same turn. I think this card falls into a similar dismay as Palpatine, where our opponent knows when he's coming out, can play around it. Sometimes you have to delay flipping your Yoda because our opponent just won't play the card, right? And then maybe they can wait for next turn where you don't know the top card of your deck and you're not able to remove a unit that turn. He's kind of weird in that regard, but he has really good stats. And a leader that kills a unit is kind of nutty. I'm going to give Yoda an A. I just don't think he is in that S range. I think this format can get kind of fast, kind of crazy. But obviously Yoda helps by attempting to kill units. I think he's, kind of bad at killing really big units unless you got really big cards in your deck, which could maybe be a reason to just run expensive cards. Keep it in your hand if you can, just so it turns into a kill spell for free with Yoda. That is pretty reasonable. I'm pretty sure there's a few ridiculously costed cards this set because of exploit. And those cards might be fine in a Yoda deck because you just save it in your hand, use his effect, and then kapow, right? And then you resource the card the next turn, and it's not the biggest deal. So yeah, we're gonna give Yoda an A. I like removal on a leader. I gave Palpatine a high rating as well. I just feel be careful because you will end up in some mind game battles with your opponent with this card. And now we get to the good guy units. We got a 1-costed 1/1 ground unit, Baris Ophi. Sorry, don't know how to say their name. But she is an unassuming apprentice. Each friendly unit that was healed this phase gets +1/+0. She has a pretty minimal effect. We're really only healing with Obi-Wan, and I don't know how we're healing our units. And then we were buffing them here and getting, I don't know. Just don't play this card. It seems really bad. I mean, the plus side is that now we have a 1-costed Jedi Force unit. Kind of scary for constructed, I think. But I'm not really excited to play this card at all. So we're going to give it a straight up F. We got a 2-costed 0/3 ground unit, Outspoken Representative, Republic Official. While you control another Republic unit, this gains Sentinel. And when defeated, create a Clone Trooper token. All right, so I think if you get, a bunch of Republic units in your deck, this kind of feels decent in the mid game. I'm not really sure I like it as a turn 1 play, but you play it in the mid game. It protects your field, and then you get a 2/2 out of it. Spending 2 for a 2/2, but then also healing 3, but also just the stickiness of Sentinel. This card is something that doesn't want to be attacked by your opponent and can kind of sit there. While it doesn't initially deal with your opponent's board, you're helping yourself achieve coordinate. So this card kind of does a lot of things for you, but it's not I'm feeling super excited to play this card. I think it's just a C. I think it's just a playable. It does enough stuff and can fit into enough themes that I don't think I'll cut it that much, but I think I might cut it sometimes. I think it's just a C. Next up, we have Kashyyyk Defender is a 2-costed 0/5 ground Wookiee unit. has grit, and when played, heal up to 2 damage from another unit and deal that much damage to this unit. So let's say you're able to do the healing. This is going to be a 2/3 because it has grit, and then, you know, you can Obi-Wan heal it, but then it loses some attack. This card is kind of hard to make use of. I mean, I'm actually kind of excited to like summon a 1/4 that gets bigger, maybe, because then I can like trade in my opponent's 1/1, and now I have the 2/3 that I've been desiring. I mean, like spooky, scary scenarios when this thing's like a 4/1 that costs 2. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep this card as a C. This one could go really either way. Like I'm not impressed. Like I don't like 2 drops that I can't really play turn 1. Like I can play this card turn 1 and not feel great about it, but I can play it and it will be fine, right? Because of other stuff, and it has value in the later game because I can just be like, now I have a Sentinel unit. You have to go through this first. And you can say the same thing about this card, how it's like healing 2 damage, but then I'm just getting a 2/3. I don't know. I mean, it does stuff, right? And it can do some cool stuff. So let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna keep the Defender at a C. This is a weird one. Next up, we have 41st Elite Core. Maybe I didn't really get to my point here. You can't play this to start the game, guys. I would not play a 0/5. Yeah. All right. We have 41st Elite Core. It is a 3-costed 3/3 Republic Clone Trooper with Coordinate. This unit gets +0/+3. Finally, a real buff from Coordinate, which is super nice to see because a lot of these Coordinate things are like kind of sad. I mean, a 3-costed 3/6 is like super dope. But like, again, it has like C- stats at a 3-costed 3/3. How often do we have Coordinate? I don't know. Sometimes. So maybe a high, like obviously if you have Coordinate going on, this card will feel like a B, and if you don't, it's going to feel really close to a D. So we'll give it in the middle, another C, just a playable card in our deck that will sometimes do some cool stuff. Next up, we got a 3-costed 2/4 ground unit, Captain Typho, Naboo Republic Trooper. When played and on attack, give a unit Sentinel for this phase. Has 1 less stat than it should, but the 4 health and allowing this guy to be Sentinel is kind of annoying for our opponent. Also, I like when you can just give other things Sentinel, like, all right, I'm going to attack with my 2/4, and I'm going to give this piece of crap unit Sentinel, right? That feels pretty nice. Like, I'm going to give my Defender Sentinel and try to make more use out of him. Like, that's pretty cool. Now he has grit, right? And now he's going to get bigger. So I think this is a solid playable card. I don't think it's going to feel super powerful, but I do think it's a solid playable. It's going to give it a C. All right, next up we have Satine Creed. Oh, man, this card. It is a 4-costed 0/6. I'm, like, just thinking about all the... Doesn't matter. Anyway, for limited, it is a 4-costed 0/6. Each unit, including enemy units, gain action for free. Discard cards from an opponent's deck equal to half its unit's remaining HP rounded down. So... for example, she has 6 HP, half of it's 3, boom. 7, half of it is 3.5, rounded down is 3, boom. So she would just mill your opponent 3 cards. You give this to all of your opponent's cards, and I don't think I would ever want to play a 0/6. This card, you need to be like some crazy control deck that has like crazy big butt units or something to make this card work. I would avoid this card though, and it's kind of scary that you're offering no stats onto the board. And like imagine the scenario your opponent, I mean, I guess we could play out of that, but I just think our opponent can abuse this card as much as we can abuse milling them, and they could kind of just kill it for free. And 4 mana to direct 6 damage at this card, I don't think is playable. So we're going to give this card an F, even though it's kind of a crazy constructed card for a lot of different reasons. Next up, we got Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite. It is a 5-costed 4/6 space unit. When played on attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit and 2 damage to another space unit. God, I wish it didn't say space unit. I think this card has fair stats. There's a lot of 3/4s running around. This trades very well into them. I don't know why this card says this is why I hate flying. I think that's funny. Maybe because the spaceship is taking damage to help out his friends. Like, I guess it's pretty thematic, but anyway, yeah, I think the spaceship is totally fine. I do like having space units that feel like they can close out games. I think 5 is a lot better at closing out games, but 4 is decent. I think it's on on play / when attack effect could come up. I mean, it's pretty broken if you play this card and kill like a 2/2, 2/1 spaceship. Like, that's going to feel really nice. Like, here's my 4/5 and clear unit. It's going to feel pretty good. I think this card is approaching B, so we'll give it the B rating because I've given so many of these poor blue cards a C or less. So yeah, we're going to give them a B. You should probably always put this spaceship in your deck because sometimes it's going to feel really great, and other times it's going to feel fine. Like, just hit them for 4 every turn until they're gone. Next up, we have Knight of the Republic. It is a 6-costed 4/7 Force Jedi Republic unit. When this unit is attacked, create a clone trooper token. Nice. So, this card's pretty cool. Like, his stats, I would say, are too smaller than they should be, but when he gets attacked, he, you know, gets 4 value of stats. Can my opponent choose to ignore this card? Unsure. Like, it only swings for 4, so it's not that threatening. I think my opponent might be able to choose to. Like, I think a lot of the times when you play this card, you're going to feel like you have to attack the enemy units. And that's not where this card wants to be. You know, they could just remove it as well. So I'm actually not that excited about this card. I mean, if you are really hurting for 6 drops, you'll put this card in your deck. But I think I'm just going to give it a C. I think it's playable. I think it does something. It has good enough defense that it won't get one shot. So ideally, if your opponent has to attack this, it's going to feel pretty good. But a lot of the times, because of its weak attack stat, I think your opponent can ignore it. Next up, we have Luminara Unduli is a 7-costed 4/9. This card has grit when you have coordinate, so it can kind of get out of hand if you can achieve coordination. And when played, choose a base, heal 1 damage from it for each unit you control. Includes herself, so you know you're always at least healing 1. If you're playing her with intent on always having coordinate, then she's a heal 3 to base, which is a fine number, I guess. I mean, compared to Luke. Luke has restore 3 and kill a unit. But I guess, how can we compare something to Luke Skywalker, right? That is the story. This is a great closer, though, for the blue color because she has grit. Your opponent's going to actually have to be, like, attacking your other units so that she won't have her grit on because she can swing for lots and lots of damage. I think this card is going to be in your B to A range because I really do think this color needs some sort of closer. Closer. So you're probably gonna open this card and really want to play her because you just need to end the game eventually, and I think she's able to do that. Next up, we have For the Republic. It's a 3-costed upgrade. Gives +2/+2. If you control 3 or more Republic units, this upgrade costs 2 less to play. This card could cost 0 to play. No, I'm just kidding. We're so hateful on the upgrades, but attached unit gains coordinate restore 2. Not in love with this card. Like, restore guys is not like an aggressive mechanic. So let's say we're playing this card for 1 mana +2/+2. I'd actually probably not play that card. 1 mana +2/+2 and restore 2. Sure, I'd consider it. But now I need coordinate for that to happen, and I need 3 or more Republic units. I guess if I have the 3 or more Republic units, then I have the coordinate, but I'm not in love with upgrades. I think if you have to play this card, you probably picked the wrong color. No, but I think this card is like in between an F+ to a D-. I think if everything is going right for you and you only have to pay 1 for it, it's going to feel fine. But even then, I'm just not in love with upgrades. It lets you get 2 for 1. It has weak stats. Like I said, I don't even really like paying 1 for +2/+2 forever, so I wouldn't play this card. Next up, we have Hello There. It is a 3-costed event. Choose a unit that entered play this phase. It gets -4/-4 for this phase. This card is hello conditional, but this card is very conditional, which is really its drawback. Like, you have to do it to the immediate unit your opponent played. Another downside is, like, later in the game, our opponent's playing bigger things, so unless we can neg4 it with this and then immediately trade into it, it's going to feel kind of bad. It's kind of nice to have a card that can answer our opponent's stuff right away, I guess. Like, they play their 3/4, and you're just like, hello there, and it's gone. But, like, that doesn't even feel like, I don't know, that amazing, so Yeah, I don't know. This card is just fine. Let's give it. Like I said, removal is premium, but this is very conditional removal. So I'm gonna actually give it a C, but I could be wrong there, guys. I could be very, very wrong. We'll see how that goes. Sorry that I'm a little green now. The sun's going away. It always makes my green screen go crazy. Next up, we got Finn. It is a 3-costed 3/4 Fringe Trooper unit. When this unit completes an attack, choose a unique unit. For this phase, if damage would be dealt to that unit, prevent 1 of that damage. So we always like talking about these double blue units or double colored units, and the problem with them is you almost can never be double colored, monocolored, because there's just not enough cards to choose from. Even in draft, I think it can be pretty difficult to get that to happen. So we're probably mostly paying 5 for this card. And if we're paying 5 for a 3/4 that has like a random effect, like that's pretty trash. If we're paying 3 for this card, yeah, it's going to feel great, right? So in your double blue decks, obviously you're always going to play Finn. Like it's at least a B. But outside of it, it's like an F. So we're probably never going to play Finn, just like last set. Next up, we have Duchess's Champion is a 4-costed 1/8 Mandalorian unit. Same thing, I'm never paying 6 resources for a 1/8, and not even that excited to pay 4 resources for 1, so just avoid this card as well. Next up, we got Equalize. Give a unit -2/-2 for this phase. Then if you control fewer units in that controller, give another unit -2/-2. It does say give another unit -2/-2, which is kind of cool, but I don't know. Would I pay 5 for this card? Maybe. Like, if I was a pretty control-y deck and I knew, like, I was going to get out-united, like, I'm an exploit deck and I'm playing against a coordinate deck, I can, like, get rid of 2 of my opponent's 2/2 tokens for 5 resources, and that's not going to feel the worst if I'm turning off their coordinate. I actually think this card is probably at least a C. In color, it's going to feel like a B to an A. It's going to feel a lot better. But yeah, I'd pay 5 resources for this card, so... I mean, I'm not super excited about it, but I would do it. Next up, we have Compassionate Senator. This card is complete trash. It is a 1-costed 0/4 ground unit that you can pay 2 every turn to heal 2 damage from a unit or base. That is F tier. We do not got time for that, so don't play this card. Next up, we got Warrior Drone. Is a 1-costed 1/4 Separatist unit. Not in love with its stats. Yes, maybe you're super aggressive and can slam 2 1-drops. That's probably the only time I'd consider playing this card, so we're going to give it the D- niche rating. Otherwise, I would just avoid the Warrior Drone. Next up, we got Padawan Starfighter. It is a 2-costed 1/3. While you control a Force unit or a Force upgrade, this unit gets +1/+1. A 2-costed 2/4 Space unit is super hot, but how often are we controlling Force units? I think if you somehow have this really, really good, Force synergy deck, this card's going to feel like a B in it. And if you don't, it's going to feel like a D. It's going to really, really depend on how many Force units you got. Next up, we have Royal Guard Attaché. We got some Obi-Wan synergy now coming in. This is a 2-costed 2/5 ground unit. When played, deal 2 damage to this unit. So if you guys are playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can play him out. He becomes a 2/3. You heal him to a 2/4, and you're cooking. At the end of the day, this card is just a fine playable card. It obviously has some upside in Obi-Wan, but it's very small in my opinion. I mean, I think his card's going to be like a C, just C- in most decks. Like, it has the stats, it's a 2-drop. And Obi-Wan, it's going to be like a C+ because you get to be a little cute. Next up, we got Trade Federation Shuttle. It's a 3-costed 2/3 space unit. When played, if you control a damage unit, create a battle droid token. So this is an undercosted spaceship that creates something else. One of the good things about this card is it really can prep your exploit if you have a damaged unit, because then you have like a space unit, so maybe our opponent doesn't have any space units, and maybe my opponent doesn't want to attack the 1/1, or maybe like we're going to have the initiative, and then I can, use my old card to get a 4-mana discount on an exploit, which can feel pretty good. Like I said, exploit's hard to, evaluate because of like these scenarios. I think even when this card summons a 1/1, I'm not going to be too excited about it, to be honest. Probably in like the lower C- range. But if you have like this really huge exploit heavy deck, I think this card is going to feel a little bit better. We'll keep it in that C- range just because of its stats being bad, but you know, it just dies to every 3/4 spaceship, and you're not going to reliably have a damaged unit like this. This is like sometimes Magical Fairyland. Next up, we have Infantry of the 212th. It is a 3-costed 2/4 ground unit with Coordinate and Sentinel. You know, another bad example of Coordinate, like, I need to jump through all these hoops just to play a card that should already have Sentinel. Like, this is a C-, probably D. This is one of the 3-drops I definitely consider cutting right away. Yeah, so we'll put it in the D range. I'm gonna cut this card unless I need more 3-drops, unless my deck really needs a Sentinel unit that sometimes has it. Next up, we have Daughter of Dathomir. It is a 4-costed 3/5 Force Knight unit. The Knight tag's kind of cool. While this unit is undamaged, it gains Restore 2. When this unit attacks, heal 2 damage from your base. I don't know why I read Restore 2 out loud. It was just in the mode, guys. So yeah, obviously we know what Restore does. While it's undamaged, I mean, we saw this set. There's a bunch of tokens. There's a bunch of 1/1s. There's a bunch of 2/2s. Things get damaged. It has one less stat than it should, which isn't the end of the world. But, you know, the magic plus side of it having Restore 2 is whatever. I mean, this card is really defensive if you think about it, because you have 5 health. And if your opponent doesn't ever send any damage into it, then you just have Restore 2. So, you know, the more control-y you are, this is the type of 4-drop you're probably looking for. The more mid-range aggro you are, you're probably looking for something with 4 attack. Or 5 attack, right, at 4 resources. So I'm going to give this card probably like a C-, C. It's playable, but, excuse me, I'm just not too excited for it. Next up, we have Vulture Interceptor Wing. It is a 4-costed 3/3 space unit. On attack, give an enemy unit -1/-1 for this phase. You know, the problem with these cards is that they're slow. So, like, there's a lot of 3-mana 3/4 space units out. This thing has 1 less stat, 1 more cost. But it is an unanswered win condition, I guess. Like, if you play this space unit and your opponent plays no space units, like, now we're just, you know, value trading them every single turn or eating their 1/1s that they're making, which can feel really, really good. I think this card should probably just be in your deck, but make sure when you play it that you won't get punished. Like, I think this card can sway the tide of a game either way. Like, if you do not play it correctly, it's going to make you lose. And if you play it in the right scenario, it's going to be just so annoying for your opponent. I am scared of these stats, though I will say if you have the initiative, this card can actually value trade against the 3/4. But, you know, they comes out 1 turn earlier, so I'm gonna give this card a C+, B-. We'll commit. We'll give it the B, but I think this is a hard to play card, and you got to be careful when playing it. Next up, we have Kai Adi Mundi. Definitely said that right. It is a 5-costed 5/7. Some nice stats there. With Coordinate, when an opponent plays their second card each phase, you may draw 2 cards. People play 2 cards in a turn. That's true. This card also has great stats. It's a legendary, so we're not going to see it that often. But yeah, for just its stats, you know, it's definitely in the B range. Like, about to sneeze maybe. But a 5/7 is exactly where we want to be. 5/6 is on rate, so this card's a little bit above rate. And then when you have Coordinate and your opponent's trying to do as much as you know, play as many units as you, they're going to get punished. You're going to draw 2 cards. That's pretty hot. I'm going to put this card to an A range. I think it's powerful. I think you always want it in your deck. It has all the tags you're looking for, and, you know, is a good value card. Also, the 7 HP survives like most leaders, which is why it probably goes into that A range. Next up, we have Falcon Ion Tank. It is a 6-costed 4/6 Sentinel unit. If you need a Sentinel unit, this is the tank for you. Otherwise, probably should avoid it. I mean, its stats are a little bit low. It only has 6 HP, so it's not making those benchmarks, and it's dying to a bunch of leaders. I just keep thinking of, like, Maul and Anakin just running through this. So I think if you need Sentinel units, you'll put this card in your deck. I think if you have better 6-drops. Like, I'd rather just play this 5-drop, right? But if you have better 6-drops, I think you're going to go with them. This is, at the end of the day, just a playable card that I might sometimes cut. So a C. Next up, we have Multi-Troop Transport. It's a 7-costed 3/6 Exploit 2. I do like these Exploit cards that come in the neutral color because I can play them in good guy decks now, and that could be pretty good. It says, on attack, create a battle droid token. For 7, this card feels awful. For 5, it feels a little bit underwhelming. And for 3, it feels disgusting. But, like, how often am I able to kill 2 1/1s? If you're able to kill 2 1/1s, guys, and play this 3/6, you're probably going to have an amazing game if you can do that on curve somehow. I don't know how you're doing it on curve. But if you're doing it on curve, you're going to have an amazing game. Because it's also replenishing your future exploits by giving you battle droid tokens. But I think this card is pretty niche. I'm going to give it a D, but if you're like a super 1/1 heavy exploit deck, it's going to feel a lot better for you. Next up, we have the Zillow Beast, a 9-costed 10/10 creature awoken from the depths. And when played, give each enemy ground unit -5, -0 for this phase, so you ain't taking damage from them. And when the regroup phase starts, heal 5 damage from this unit. Okay, well, if you just want a finisher in your deck, then yeah, you should play this. I usually actually almost always like having one big thing in my deck. If the game doesn't seem like I'm going to get there, then I resource it. And when I play it and they don't remove it, you know, you kind of just win. You're hitting them for 10. I also really like this card has an on-play effect, so even if they do just remove it right away, at least you stopped some of the bleeding because you were able to, you know, reduce everyone's attack by 5. Not space units, but everyone else. So we're going to give this card B because it's just so big. Like, it's a card that can end games on its own, but it's really expensive and its on-play effect doesn't kill anything, so it doesn't go into that A or S range. Next up, we have Foresight. It is a 1-costed 0/2 upgrade. Attached unit gains when the regroup phase starts. Name a card, then look at the top card of your deck. If it's the named card, you may reveal and draw it. This card is, you know, way better in Yoda, where you get to manipulate your deck and then just draw the card, and then you're paying like 1 mana to draw a card at least 1 time. The +2 health is fine, I guess, at making your unit live. I'm not really excited about upgrades, especially ones that I need like other things to align. I think if you're not playing Yoda, this is an F, and I think if you are, it's a D. It's very niche, but if you needed a card or you just really want some Yoda synergy, then sure. Next up, we got Roger. It is a 1-costed upgrade. When defeated, attach this upgrade to a friendly battle droid token. Okay. Like, sure, man. Like, I really don't like upgrades. I think it's quite cute. Like, if you're a deck that makes a bunch of 1/1s and you're always going to have a 1/1 on the field, then you're, like, always going to have this upgrade lying around. I mean, the worst thing about upgrades is that you can get 2 for 1s, but this card is, like, you know, value continuously going. It also helps your 1/1s trade with their 2/2s, you know. But again, the problem is it's, like, just a really, really weak upgrade. Like, spending a whole card for infinite +1s like is really good, but how many +1s am I going to get out of it? I'd probably need like 3 or 4 to make me feel like this card did its job. So we'll give it the nice rating of a D in that it's niche and it's probably going to make it hard to make it work. Next up, we have Perilous Position is a 3-costed upgrade. When played, a exhaust attached unit, and it has -2/-2 on it. Nice. I like that it exhausts the unit. I think that adds extra versatility. I think -2/-2 isn't premium removal, but it is pseudo removal. I also think this card can just help you take out cards. I like that you can put it on a leader and then trade your leader into them. I think that's like pretty strong. They flip their leader, you exhaust it, you -2 it, and then you attack their leader, and you're very happy. I'm going to give this card a B because I like having removal in my deck. It feels good, and you should just always put it in. Next up, we have Unshakable Will. It is a 4-costed upgrade. Attached unit gains Sentinel and +2/+2. And let me tell you guys, if I wouldn't pay 1 mana for +2/+2, I'm certainly not paying 4 F. Next card, we have I Have the High Ground. It is a thematic event that says choose a friendly unit. Each enemy unit gets -4/-0 while attacking that unit this phase. So you're just protecting your, I don't know, guy, I guess. Like, the scenario where like you have a card that needs protecting and your opponent has all of the units to kill it, but now they can't, so they have to swing base instead. You know, I don't know. I'm not in love with events like this, and I just probably would have never played them, and I'm going to give it an F. If you guys want to try, go ahead. Next up, we have Grievous's, Grievous Reassembly. Wow, but it's his name. Yeah, this is a confusing card. I think, is it his reassembly happening? Or it's his reassembly. Anyway, it's a 2-costed event. Heal 3 damage from a unit, create a battle droid token. All right, so 2 resources for a 1/1 is really bad. 2 resources to heal 3 is really bad. 1 resource to heal 3 is not that great. You guys see what I'm getting at here? I don't think I would play this card unless I absolutely positively had 0 2-drops in my pool, and I'm like, God, I just need something to play turn 1 so I can exploit it the next turn. You can't even heal 3 damage from your base. F. Next up, we got Guarding the Way. This is the way. It is a 2-costed event. Give a unit Sentinel for this phase. If you have the initiative, also give that unit +2/+2 for this phase. And gosh darn it, if I wouldn't pay 1 resource for +2/+2 all the time, I'm not paying it for maybe 1 turn. Maybe. And yeah, this is an F, guys. Just don't play these bad events. Play units. Units are better. Next up, we have Disruptive Burst. Give each enemy unit -1/-1 for this phase. And yes, this card should absolutely be in every blue deck you play. It is at least a B. It's going to feel like frickin' S tier against these guys making a million 1/1s. But you want this in your deck in case people are going super wide. I also think that things will be, you know, a little hurt in this format. I feel like there's a lot of tokens running around. Someone commented in my last video that, you know, things are going to be damaged. So maybe the things that, you know, give more damage are a little bit better. Yeah, so this card should just always be in your blue deck. You can always resource if it doesn't feel good, but I think you're going to get some value out of it sometimes. Next up, we have Death by Droids. Defeat a unit that costs 3 or less and create 2 Battle Droid tokens. This card feels like Value Town to me. I think that I can kill something reasonable enough with cost 3 or less, and getting 2 1/1s is going to feel really nice. I think 3 is that like really good benchmark where like decks have a lot of 3-drops in general. You know, they just play them throughout the game. Sometimes on 6 resources, you play 2 3-drops. And I think if you're able to kill one of them and get some units out of it, like that's going to feel good enough for me to call this premium removal, and we're going to give it a B rating. And now we have true premium removal with Vanquish. Yeah, put this in your deck. It's B. It's not like it's a powerhouse going to win you the game. But yes, you want removal. You know, you get enough of these removal cards, and this is what gears you towards blue. Vanquish is at least a B. Next up, we have the card that Yoda needs to kill everything. The Invasion of Christophsis. Christophsis has Exploit 4. Choose an opponent. Defeat each unit that player controls. So would I kill 4 1/1s to do 7 resources to kill my opponent's whole board? Cards like these, I'm glad they're legendary. I think they're very hard to evaluate. I think 98.34% of the time this card's going to feel like absolute trash in your deck. But it is a great example of a card to play in Yoda, because maybe you will get to 12 resources, 13 resources, and maybe you can sacrifice 1 guy to kill all of your opponent's cards. But if not, you can use the Yoda effect to make sure that you kill anything. So if you guys are Yoda, this card should definitely be in your deck. It's like a kill spell with your leader, like a little combo there, right? And you have a lot of time to draw it, right? When you get to 7 resources, we're hitting like 16 cards at least. So it's like half your deck. This card is a D. It's very niche. Maybe sometimes it's going to do something crazy. Let me know. If it does, take a picture, post it in the comments. Let me see that. And we did it, guys. I'm really sorry about the grainness in the background. One day my editing skills will be amazing. I think just when the sun goes down and this is what happens. But anyway, guys, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys. And as always, peace.